feel like I'm sitting really low.
Like other chairs?
Just like any other chair.
Amazing how that works, Greg. They're all the same.
Just felt lower than normal.
You definitely,
Maybe I'm taller.
definitely shrinking.
Well, heavier, I'm making it go down further.
I wasn't trying to insinuate anything.
Well.
Do we have our special welcome intro yet?
Hey, hello, folks. Is that what?
Howdy
Bargatze's
doody.
doing?
Is your sound on your computer yet again?
Got it. just
Every
in
time. It's his thing. It's now become his thing.
That's my hello.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, Northridge. How you doing? How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, this is Greg Tizer. I'm merely
Hello.
Andy Schultz, and we're here just to hang out with you for a little while. Coming up later in this podcast is we have a special guest, Matt Hutchcraft. But before we get to that, Greg, I want to ask you, what's it like to be in charge
Of what?
of the
No.
church? With Ben and Terry, we're going
God
on week
is in
3.
charge of the
Yes,
church.
God is in charge of the church.
Andy Schultz,
of course.
Pastor Andy.
Yeah,
Get
but
out of here
it's
with the in charge.
week 3
Yes.
of Ben and Terry
Something-
being on
yeah.
sabbatical. Have you seen anything that they've done yet? I saw that they did their sailboat in Lake Superior
And
with
sailing.
Grant Chrissy.
Yep.
I
I believe they're at a conference in Colorado.
Going
now.
to Colorado.
Yeah.
Because they were offering, I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast, they were offering up their cabin for anybody that that wanted to stay there in terms of staff.
I think that was for
staff
staff, yeah.
people only.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've actually not heard much other than that.
No.
Ben is usually pretty good
good.
about not communicating during vacations. He always tells people to not bug me, which they do usually.
Yeah. I have no problem bugging people on vacation. No.
It's because it's usually you texting me, but
Yeah.
we text back and forth all the time.
It's
Anyways.
dumb baseball memes and stuff. Like, yeah.
That one you sent me earlier. It's not dumb. It's just crazy. Max Muncy. There's 2
Yeah.
Max Muncies in the
Same
world.
birthday.
Yeah.
The
it's
Oakland
crazy.
A's
Same
drafted
birthday.
Max Muncy in 2012, who is
Yep.
now
How old apart are they?
Dodger.
They're like 8 years apart.
at least,
Yeah,
something
at
like
least.
that.
It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now they're you know where they're both from. I know Max Muncy's
Max
from,
Muncy is from Waco, Texas, I believe.
and Max Muncy's
And
from
Max Muncy the second is from, I think it was Thousand Oaks. It's somewhere L.A.
California.
area. Yeah,
Thousand Oaks. That totally sounds like a California name.
it is. That area has produced a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where.
Because you can play all year round. I mean, I think
Yeah.
you just get better.
But that specific, like little area, some towns in there have
Yeah.
produced a lot of baseball players.
So answer my question. What's it like being kind of in charge?
I feel like I get less respect.
I don't get no respect.
No, it's not different. Like we have a very capable staff.
We do.
And our staff does a great job of doing what they're supposed to do. And so I think Ben has a really easy job. Just kidding.
Well, you've only had to preach 1 week.
I
out
know,
of it
so it's
since
not
he's been
that hard.
gone.
And the other weekend I have in August, I gave away to somebody. So it's, I need, no, it's, July's weird anyway.
You don't feel like it's just in general, like just the weight of stress, like the weight of responsibility.
Maybe I should. I don't.
Now, let me
I
ask
handle
you,
that stuff well.
in
Like,
your work career.
I don't get
How long have you been in full time ministry?
Oh wow. I'm not good at numbers, but
When's the last time you had just a normal job? A normal job.
I think I've started in 2003.
2003.
Full time. Yeah,
That's
junior
close to
high.
when I was too.
Junior high pastor. And sorry, I just had a moment because I have not talked about this much, but
Ooh, breaking news.
no, well,
Okay.
my mentor, the guy that hired me, Mike
Oh.
Vanderdusen, died. Over the last couple of years, he's fought like 3 or 4 different brain tumors, and one came back. One showed up a little more than a year ago, and it was fairly aggressive. They were doing some experimental stuff, and like treatment. Then he got COVID in the fall, so they had to stop some of the treatment, and then yeah, it just got too advanced. Well, he passed away about a month ago. His funeral's next month. They're doing a celebration of life next month. But Mike Vanderdusen is a guy who many people grew up in his ministry and had gone into full-time vocational ministry. He's just one of those guys that just loved Jesus. He modeled him in every way, and he was just such a likable guy. And he saw things in people that they did, we didn't see in ourselves. And I still remember I was just hanging around like the young adult ministry on Sunday nights, the services, and I would just show up because my friends were in like the worship team, and we'd all hang out after church Sundays, and I'd just be hanging out while they're getting ready. And I remember he comes up to me in the chair, and he like taps my leg, sits down. He's like, "Hey man, since you're here early, you mind like locking, making sure doors are unlocked and that sort of thing, just opening up the building and stuff." And I'm like, at that time I was already like wrestling with things, and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's cool. But you know what? I also wanted to volunteer in the junior high ministry." And he's like, "What in the world?" Like, I wasn't expecting that. And I wasn't expecting to even say it. Like, I had been thinking about it, but it just kind of came out. And he's like, "Yeah, dude, come on Sunday and help out." And so I started helping out, and then, but I was wrestling with this ministry call at the time for a couple of years. And I was finishing up college and that, but yeah, I sat down with him one evening in his office, and he was a big, tall Dutch guy, 6'4", long legs, this big smile, always smiling, and this tiny office, like smaller than yours. And so he would turn around from his desk chair and sit, and I'm in the other chair, and he always had his leg like crossed over one, and like, so his foot is like right here.
Put his feet on your lap.
Yeah, it was just kind of awkward. But I remember talking to him like this call that I was wrestling with, and he just had this big smile. He's like, and I said, like, I just think I'm called that God's calling me to this full time, to junior high ministry. And he gets this big grin. He's like, I just got approved to hire a junior high pastor last night. Yeah, and so I got my degree in liberal arts. Like, it wasn't a ministry degree, my undergrad. And so he said, "Well, we'll give you like a 6-month internship to see how things go." And so, yeah, did that. And then they hired me full time, and I was there for 5 years or so. And Mike, I still always refer to him as my mentor, even though we haven't been in the same location for years. But we talk a couple times a year, play phone tag more than anything. But awesome guy. And I'll have to sit down and list it out, but I'm off the top of my head, I know there's 10 of us at least that have gone into full-time ministry, that have grown up with Mike, and people who have moved away, who have made big steps of faith, because that's kind of what he modeled and what he taught. I mean, he was a guy that his dad was a dairy farmer, and dairy farms in California, I mean, they were very successful. And he was the only son. He was supposed to take over the dairy farm, and when he told his dad, I'm not going to be a dairyman, I'm going into ministry, his dad like sold the farm and retired. But Mike is just a faithful guy, followed Jesus, modeled him in every way. And so I forgot why I got on that, but I needed to share about Mike.
Is going to be in California?
Yeah, in Southern California.
You're going to try to go out there?
I'm not going to be able to make it. It's the 6th or 7th, whatever that August Friday night.
And you're already out of town.
No, I won't be. No.
Oh, it's
no. It's just not going to work out. But they're streaming, and
is it just
yeah.
What if we flew you out there just for the day?
Nah, it's all good, man. I had a really good long conversation with Mike about 2 weeks before he died, and it was at that point, it was kind of like we knew where it was going. Sure. It was a matter of time. And no, it's good. I'm good. It would be cool to see a lot of people. I'm sure would be there, but other than that, which I don't want to like poo-poo that, because that would be awesome. But I wouldn't be able to go for extended time, and so it's not like I'd be able to hang out with people anyway. And we'll save it for another time.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Get back on track with my original question. 1, what is liberal arts?
You sound like my dad when I told him I majored. No, it's just a general studies kind of thing of like social science. So I had, if you want to be technical, liberal arts with the social science.
Is it liberal?
It's liberal meaning like a wide range
Oh, okay.
of arts. It's social sciences
Of
and a
arts.
history
Is it
minor.
artistic?
It was not fine arts,
Fine arts?
not
What
like
is-
fine arts. Fine arts is like drawing
dancing
and dance, ceramics, and
Okay.
no, dancing would be performing arts.
Okay.
Why am I telling an artist what this is?
Well, and I also went to Bethel, which is a liberal arts
Hippy
college.
dippy.
Um,
What's a liberal arts college?
right? The
When
other
I told my
question.
dad I was like, I'm in a major in liberal arts, and he's yeah, that was what is that?
There's a movie called Liberal Arts.
Yeah,
It's got the lead guy from How I Met Your Mother. You ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
that's Doogie Howser, isn't it?
No, he's one of the. He's not the main guy.
He's
but
not?
He's in it. Yeah.
I don't know what's his real name. Is Doogie Howser? He's always Doogie Howser. Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah, I couldn't think
Jinx.
of it.
The other question I had was, the original question was, what was your job before you got into full-time ministry? Now, just to save some time, what was the most memorable job that you had before you got into ministry?
Oh,
Your favorite, or just the craziest, or
it's hard because
weirdest?
I've had some interesting jobs. I've had some weird jobs. I refer to 2 of them. No, that's not true. I don't know. Okay, so when I was in high school, my first job that was regular pay was umpiring Little League. They got a bunch of us high school players to go
That's awesome.
umpire Little League, and that was actually cool. It was good money because you could do like 4 games on a Saturday,
Yep.
and it was like I think we got $54 was
Per game?
for the 4 games.
Oh,
But that was like, whoa, dude,
this is
we got
back in the
50
'70s.
Yeah, back in the 70s.
How old
no.
are you?
No, this would have been in 92.
Okay.
93, maybe. 93.
So that's still $50, 50 some bucks per.
You know what? I
umpiring
saved
for
my
that. It's
first
pretty
couple of
good.
checks to buy. They weren't Jordans, but they're like some expensive Nike shoes. That's the first time and only time really I've spent that much money on shoes. But when you're a high school kid
Yeah.
and that's your first good money. And then I worked at Taco Bell,
Yep. The bell.
which taught me a lot, actually. It taught me that I did not want to work at fast food, which I think is important, honestly. I mean, I joke about it, but it's important when you're in high school to have some of those crummy jobs, even when you're a young adult, to have terrible jobs
I think it's what's
to
more,
motivate you into think, I don't want to
Right.
do this my whole life.
I think what's more important that of what it taught you is that it's okay to eat Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And you still
Yeah.
eat Taco
Oh,
Bell
I still
today,
love
right?
Taco Bell. It's disgusting. I mean, I it's weird to watch like how things come in, the ingredients, and like, it's gross. I'll
Yeah.
still eat it. Yeah, I did hoof trimming on the dairies, like cattle hoof trimming for a summer.
Oh,
with
you
my
know what?
friend
I
Tony.
remember you telling me that because you incorporated it into your sermon one
I
time.
did. I talked about
You had a
that, and
picture.
actually, it's kind of a badge of honor to me because Mike Rowe actually featured that job in Dirty Jobs. one
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's harder than you would think, but it's that was interesting. And then
Do you like riding horses?
I've never ridden a horse
You've never ridden a horse.
except for those like when I was a kid, those ones you put a quarter in outside the supermarket. Yeah. No, I've been on a horse. That's not true.
Oh, okay.
Not as an adult though. I did ride Sea-Doo for the first time this week
Ah,
ever.
It's kind of the same
Wave Runner,
motion.
whatever, same thing.
I
Yeah.
like Kevin James talking about it's impossible to smile or not smile when you're on a wave runner. Or were you frowning?
I don't.
Were
I
you
don't know.
curmudgeon riding the wave runner?
I wasn't curmudgeoning. I was a little like, it's a weird sensation. Like, and it's weird to get used to. Like, if you've never done that. And my mother-in-law, we had 2 of them. My mother-in-law had like one of the kids out, came in. Like my in-laws came in with theirs. We're gonna switch. Let me go on one. Let Jordan go on one.
So
My
did you go out by
mother-in-law
yourself?
comes in. No, first I had Asher with me,
Oh, so you
and
can't
she
really just-
she's getting off, and she tells me, "Be careful. This one tips easily." And I'm like, "What? I didn't know they tip."
they can tip.
Well, I know
There's
that now.
instructions on the bottom of which way you got to roll it back
Yeah.
over if it tips.
Well,
over.
fortunately, I didn't have to see that, but it was enough to make me really nervous because I also have my son on there.
Right.
Like,
So you couldn't
hanging
really
on.
full throttle.
I was like testing it out at first, like trying to figure everything out, and then
Was it windy on Minnetonka that day?
it wasn't bad. It was actually a beautiful day, but no, by the few minutes out there, you figure out it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the other unique kind of jobs, industries? I worked at a document storage company. We stored a bunch of medical and business records, like offsite storage, and I actually learned a lot in a real way from that job, from the owner. He was just a wise business guy and extremely successful in many different businesses, but just about hard work and leadership and stuff, and like simple things. Like I told this story before, but this is a guy who's worth like millions and millions of dollars, like really uber wealthy, and we're walking through the warehouse one day, and he stops and picks up a penny that was on the floor, and his daughter who also worked with us, and she's like, "Dad, what are you doing? You don't need to pick up a penny from the warehouse floor." And he says, "If you watch your pennies, your dollars will take care of themselves." I was like, dang, I should write that down. But I didn't have to write it down. I just remembered
it.
I don't necessarily do it, which is why I don't have like expensive yachts and
Do you think
all these
do you think it's
commercial buildings he
like
had.
really
but
true, or is it more just like a
I think it's a
in general
discipline. It's a
wise
discipline thing.
mindset about money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just discipline, right? Is what he's saying. But that was a fun job, actually. I worked there for like 6 years.
My dollars take care of themselves just fine. They go and come as they please.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So you've had some weirdly like just strange jobs.
kind of
like,
different. Yeah,
I think about my work history, and it's like retail. I worked at
I've
Gap
done that too.
Kids, folding little baby onesies. I worked at Target for a while. I worked at from the Minnesotans here when Holiday used to be a sporting goods store. I worked at Holiday Sports. That was a cool job because I just sit and unbox fishing stuff and put it on the
Yeah.
shelf.
that's cool.
Worked at a music store. I worked at a country club as sort of a utility person, parking cars, caddying, cleaning up the pool, all that kind of random stuff. But document storage facility,
Yeah,
cutter, shaver, whatever you call that,
hoof trimmer.
hoof trimmer. Yeah, it's some weird jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
I worked at a dog food factory for one day.
No way. The dog
It
food
was through a
factory?
temp agency. I was like, I needed I worked at a convention center doing like setup for big banquets and big stuff. That was actually fun.
I remember you
but-
said you met the lady who tried OJ.
Yeah, Marsha Clark,
Yep.
the prosecutor for OJ trial. Yeah, she was there speaking at a women's business expo or something, and like saw her
having a heater.
backstage, and outside. She came off stage, walks out, and she was having a smoke, and me and my buddy Brian just sat and talked to her for a few minutes. She was actually really cool, really down to
Did you
earth.
say, do you really think he
Yeah,
did?
yeah. She said she didn't think he was good. No, I'm just joking. Just joking. Okay, so you probably have never heard this name, but there's a guy named William Suff who was a serial killer in Southern California, and
Man.
I
These
saw
Californians.
I
Have a
saw
lot of
him.
serial killers.
This guy, I saw him because they had his deposition and jury selection at the convention center for some reason. I don't really understand why. Maybe it was like a crowd thing, like they had so
Was
many
this
people.
post OJ?
Actually, it would have been around the same time because I
Because
worked there when the OJ thing was happening.
Because the OJ thing really heightened the media's involvement in
Yeah,
trials and cases like that.
I forget
I'm
why.
guessing they had it at the convention center just to be able to fit more people in it.
For a jury pool. So I don't remember exactly why, but
Juror pool.
juror pool. Here's what
The
I
rural
remember.
Juror.
So we had this elevator. We had like an underground parking, and that's where they like came in. All the cops, they pulled him in the van in there and this elevator that came up from the basement stopped on the main level, and then went up. We had another level. I was on the main level, just out there, just hanging out. I wasn't doing anything. I was just standing there, and the elevator doors open up,
Standing there.
and he's in the elevator, and he was a big dude. He was like 6'5", like just big guy. And there's like
Was he cuffed?
there's like yeah, and
Was
shackled
he-
and stuff. There's
was he
like
in a
6
suit or a
cops
jump
around.
suit? Did they have him change before or after?
I really don't remember because I locked in on his face,
Ooh.
and it was creepy because I knew. I mean, we knew this. I mean, this is happening, and
Did you
he's
lock eyes
he's
with him?
here. He was looking at me. Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely weird. But I wasn't his type. Sorry, that's. But he had a very specific victim.
MO. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway,
That's funny.
it was crazy, but that was a fun job. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I met 2 people there, Marsha Clark and
Two notable
That
people.
guy.
Yeah.
yeah. So I did retail too,
Yeah.
a little bit, enough to know that I didn't want to do retail anymore. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's it's something that I knew. I know retail. But anyway, I just thought we'd talk about jobs. And,
talked way too much about me and all that stuff.
well, you were talking about something else for a while. That took a while. But we love our jobs here.
Yeah,
This is the greatest job
absolutely.
ever. No offense to anybody else that thinks that they have a great job. It's
Yeah,
not true.
it is.
We have the greatest job ever.
So I was talking to Doug yesterday, Pastor Doug, about this because this is your 4th church that you've worked at, right?
Technically,
I think-
no. This is technically the 3rd.
Okay, 3, 4, a few others.
Yep.
This is my 4th church I've been on staff, and Doug's been on several. We just talked about how awesome it is, and it's by far head and shoulders above any church experience I've had staff-wise. Just from Ben and Terry on down, like staff is just incredible and healthy, but beyond just like people we work with, just the church in general, the leadership, from people who've served on the overseer board to ministry leaders, but everyday Northridge people, day to day, like weekend after weekend, you talk to someone, you're like, man, that person's awesome. I remember I had lunch with you like my first week here, and you're like, dude, I'll meet someone and I think like that person's so like awesome, and then the next week I meet someone else who's just as awesome. And it's so true. I mean, there's just so many, and Doug and I were talking about specifically a few people that are just incredible using their gifts and helping with like the care ministry and stuff right now, and it's just there's so many. Northridge is awesome.
Yeah.
There's so many great people here. God moves in a unique way, and people just seem to really. There's just a bigger collection of people than I've ever found that are willing to let God use them in many ways.
You know what? One of the things, and I don't want to be disparaging of any other church that I've worked for because they're great too.
I
and
will.
they're-
What
and
churches were they? I'll say bad things. No.
is I think one of the reasons that things happen here the way Northridge does is just because of the way it's structured from the top down. There's nobody micromanaging anybody. There's not all these red tape processes to clog up stuff. It's
Yeah.
like people see needs and they go to meet them, and people see ministry opportunities and they take them,
Yeah.
and I just think that sometimes as organizations, people, I mean, for instance, like what's going on with the city, I mean, just all that, the management and organization of stuff just
Yeah.
it's just naturally, not that people are intentionally trying to stop anything per se.
It's just
It's just
Red
people,
tape.
we get in the way
Yeah.
more often than not.
mhm.
And I think what's beautiful here at Northridge is that is people want to be a part of what God's doing, and they want to see what God's doing,
Mhm.
and I just think it's more streamlined here than any other place that I've been. Not that it's not happening at those churches now, because I also think, well, I remember when my parents were, when I was growing up, and when we talked about this with my brother and my mom, the day after my dad's service, my brother actually asked my mom, when did Dad become a Christian? Which I was so shocked that he asked her that. And he became a Christian before she did. But it was, a few years into their marriage, before we came along. But I think about their faith and their spirituality as a kid, and it's not anywhere near as developed as like you guys with kids the age that I would have been when I would think back. You know, it's very different. It seems more advanced. Seems more mature. I don't know, and maybe that's just the perception, but maybe that's also just the progression of people who are today versus who people were back 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know.
Could be.
Could be. And I think about that same idea in terms of church structures, like the first church I worked at, hopefully they've kind of advanced in some of their thinking and some of their processing, and all the things that used to hang them up in the past, especially when I worked there. Maybe those things aren't. And
Yeah.
hopefully there's been some growth
Yeah.
and progression, just maturity. I don't know. It just even spiritually. I mean, I think spiritually, 10 years ago when I was here at Northridge, it feels more mature to me. And maybe that's
Getting older.
well, the church is also getting older.
Yeah.
Ben's getting older. We're
Yeah.
all getting older, but I just think it seems like there's even a deeper understanding. Even in the whole Christian community, in the holistically the thought mind meld brain of Christian culture. Now you got guys like, Tim Keller, who seems to like elevate the ceiling.
Yeah.
Other brilliant people writing and speaking and all that kind of stuff, adding to the, and it's making things more mature. I don't know.
My
What do you think?
nephew texted me. I guess Francis Chan was on a podcast with Preston Sprinkle, and he just
Recently?
yeah,
Oh,
he was
listen to
listening to it today. I don't know when it came on, but he just texted it to me. He's like, "I'm listening to this," and then a few minutes later, he's like, "You got to listen to this."
So whose podcast is it?
I need to
Sprinkle's
listen
podcast?
to it. I don't know. It must be.
So
but-
he texts you a link.
Yeah.
Text me the
Yeah, I'll
link.
forward it to you. But yeah, I also don't
And if
want
it's
to
good,
be
we'll let you know.
despairing of like other churches either that I've been at, because I have friends at all of them, and they're I have been fortunate to be a part of some great ministry. But my point was like, there's for me and for us as a family, and there's something different about Northridge. It just is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, real quick, let's go shoot through some Northridge news here. And then we're going to bring on Matt. Sorry this is taking so long, Matt. Matt's kind of pacing over off camera.
I think he just has to go to the bathroom.
You can go. Go ahead.
Oh.
Go for it, man. You're going to see right there. Everybody point at Matt. He'll be right back after these messages. This tomorrow, if you knew Steve Morrow and Susie and are friends with them, you were friends with Steve, you're invited to come tomorrow night at 7:00 and celebrate his life with his family and friends. They're going to have a service, and then they're going to have some fellowship time over in the great room afterwards. Everybody's welcome to come. 7:00.
Yeah.
Don't need to bring anything. Just come and share memories of Steve, and that'll be great. My mom was interviewed by Star Tribune
Oh yeah.
not
yeah, he said
too
that.
long ago because Steve Morrow and my dad passed away on the same day, December 19th, like hours from each other. And we both chose to wait to have these memorial services several months after. And so she was interviewed by the Star Tribune about what that was like. So it's a little bit different experience. Now we're kind of back to, what pre-pandemic stuff was like, where people are kind of we're at Northridge, we're pretty much back to normal operations. So next Thursday, I've been talking about this, and I will until it actually happens. You might even see we'll be maybe doing a podcast that day, and I'll talk about it. But Out of the Dust, husband and wife, Steph and Chris, Teague is actually their last name.
Really?
Yeah. They're going to be
I thought
here.
their last name was Out of the Dust.
Like Chris and Steph Out of the
Out
Dust.
of the Dust.
with their band Out of the Dust. No, they're going to be here Thursday night, next Thursday, a week from today, 7 o'clock, to do some music, beautiful music, incredible story.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They are awesome. They're so talented. She's got an amazing voice. He's a very good guitar player, and he does some cool stuff with loops and all this stuff, and just a chill, awesome night. And it's free. You can invite as many people as you want. I'd love to. I mean, my dream would be to pack this room out.
Mm-hmm.
If you love it, you can give them a free will offering. And then we're going to have some root beer floats afterwards.
Yeah.
Hang out. They're going to be around. You can hang out with them. Thursday next week, 7 o'clock here in the worship center. Don't want to miss that. Other announcements that we have going on is still got Wednesday nights going throughout the summer. There might be a break in between the end of the summer and the beginning of the fall with the youth on Wednesday nights. They're also meeting Sunday mornings, the youth, at the 9 o'clock hour.
9 a.m., yep.
One thing I learned about yesterday,
Oh, yeah?
very cool, is this fall, we are going to be starting Wednesday night
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
Again, 2nd through 5th grade Kids Quest. I almost called it what it used to be called, Treasure Quest.
Kids
Quest.
Kids
Treasure
Quest.
Kids Quest. Kids Quest, Wednesday night.
Or as my kids call it, Quest.
The Quest.
They just
There
said
used to be
Quest.
a bar downtown.
Really? My kids don't know about that, but they
Okay.
knew about Quest. Yeah.
It was a club downtown. Anyway, the Kids Quest. Now you can me call it the Kids Quest Wednesday night, 2nd through 5th grade. We're going to be starting that in the fall, and that's really exciting
That is exciting.
because I think even I've missed seeing the
Yeah.
kids on Wednesday nights. So 2 things. One, want to get your kids set up for that. Get your schedules rearranged to have them come back on Wednesday nights. And if you're an adult and you want to help and you want to serve, there's no formal sign up or anything quite yet. Just talk to Jackie or
Yeah.
Courtney.
Please do.
Yes, just let them
Takes a
know.
lot of
Put your name
volunteers.
in the hat. Throw your hat over the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the sayings are right now, that would make things so much easier for those 2. Then we would know how many kids we can accommodate.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it right now. That'd be great. Kids Quest starting this fall.
That's exciting.
Yes, it's very cool. We got, I think it's August 14th. It's a Saturday night. Sundays on Saturday. Still think that's a clever name.
It is.
And it's a time just to hang out after the service Saturday. Even if you don't normally go to Saturday service, you can come Saturday. And if you feel like you still need to make a count, you can come Sunday morning. Again, that's fine. Or you just want to come for the hangout afterwards. That's fine. Be roughly around 6:15, 6:20. And it's just hang out, eat some ice cream, build your own sundae. That's all what you got. One more.
I got one more.
You
The
got one more.
following day, the
Little Moss.
15th,
The
of
15th
August.
of August.
Sunday evening from 5 to 7 for small group leaders. If you're a small group leader or are thinking about, or God's like nudged on your heart at all about this possible idea that, hey, maybe I should lead a small group. You are invited to what we call our kickoff, and just info about what's coming up in the fall. And it's a time for small group leaders and people thinking about leading a small group to just get together, enjoy a meal. We'll have a good evening dinner, and just get together and talk about small groups and get excited and ramped up for the fall.
Cool.
So,
August 15th.
Yep,
Is that going
from
to be
5
here?
to 7 here in the building.
Here in the
yeah.
building. What's for food?
Don't hold me to this, but you probably like grilled chicken
Ooh.
and corn and
Ooh.
something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I am going to hold you to that. 'cause
You're a
that
small
sounds
group leader.
delicious.
You should come.
If that's what
Yeah.
we're eating.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I just got to find someone to grill that's not a small group leader.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah. I don't know.
that's that.
August
gonna be good.
15th, small group get together, prep for this fall. I think that's it. We got Brax preaching again this weekend on the next, what
Psalm
is it,
51.
week 4?
Yep.
Week 4 of our Get Real series. So that should be good.
Area 51.
Area 51.
Psalm.
Psalm 51.
Yeah, Psalm 51.
So it's going to be great. Let's welcome right now our guest here today. Some of you guys know him, some of you don't. Matt Hutchcraft.
Yay.
Hey guys.
Welcome, Matt. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Thanks for being patient.
Oh, no
Should
worries.
have had sound effects ready.
Yeah, where's my applause and the
I don't have canned.
can fanfare, right?
yeah.
No, well that happens.
How's it going, Matt?
Good.
Good.
It's been a good week.
You were just out of town last week with the family, right?
Yeah, we went on vacation. It doesn't happen very often.
And you were in
we were in Branson.
Branson, Missouri.
Yeah, so it was fun. We hadn't been there in a long time. We went and
You have family in Branson?
no. We had been there probably 12, 13 years ago.
Okay.
On a family vacation.
So a few kids less.
Yeah, quite a few kids less.
It was easier, right?
It was a lot easier.
Half the kids less.
Probably more than half. I think we only had 2 at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think either
You
Dave
have
was
6 kids?
6.
That's
Oldest is 19, youngest is 2. So I was teasing somebody the other day. The last one will leave probably the same year I can start collecting Social Security. So either I'm really wise for my tax breaks, or I'm a moron for being that old when the last
so.
one
How many
leaves.
more kids do you guys want?
We're
to
done.
have?
We're done.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it. Done.
Done.
Yeah, you can tap us out of that race.
Before you and Jackie got married, did you have a goal of having this many kids?
No.
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 How many kids did you guys just talk about having?
Yeah, I mean, I came from 2. She came from 3. We didn't want to have 1, so we were kind of in that 2, 3
2 to 3.
category. You know, we definitely didn't want to have an only child. Sorry for all the only children out there, but we know how you turn out. So we had 2. Yeah, wanted to have 2 or 3, and yeah, there was a lot of times where we thought, okay, we're done because we have some big gaps, 3-4 year gaps between them, and God would see fit to bless us with another one. So, yeah, after Zeke, though, with him being preemie and some of the health risks and things, it was a stressful time for us. And so doctors advised, probably time to.
When did you? Sorry to cut you off.
No.
There. When did you first begin a relationship with Northridge?
Northridge would have been in probably 2004, 2005. And it's actually a great story. You were talking about Ben earlier. So you guys were a cold call. I had no prior relationship with anybody here, didn't know anybody here. I wrote a letter because that's what they tell us to do. I wrote a letter, hey, pastor, I'm a new missionary planning to go overseas, would love to buy you a cup of coffee and get together and share with you what God's laying on our heart. I'll call you next week to see if you're interested. And so I called, and Ben said, yep. And so we set up a time, and at that point I was working still full time. So
What were you doing?
I was working
Since
as
we
a
were talking about jobs. and all that stuff.
yeah, jobs. I had one of the most miserable jobs at that point in life. Made it easier to leave. Good company. I won't say which one, but I was working as a claims adjuster for auto insurance. So all day, every day, people are just yelling at you and accusing you of doing horrible things to them, very ungodly, unrighteous things because they had an accident and they're not happy that you're not paying them $1 million for their 1981 Toyota Corolla. So that was not a fun job. But yeah, and so the day that we were supposed to meet, there was a situation, and so Ben and I met at Caribou, and he said, "You have 10 minutes. Give me the elevator speech. I'm heading to the hospital. Like I gotta go." And I said, Pastor, I said, with all respect, I don't know what I can tell you about Russian orphans in 10 minutes. And Ben goes, "We've adopted several orphans from Russia in the church. We have a long history of that. What are you going to do?" And I told him, and he said, "We'll support you. I'll have my guy call you," and left. And that was it. And 2 months go by, and I get a call from Top Gifford, and he's like, "Hey, I guess we're supporting you. We should probably get together and meet." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's probably good."
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how our relationship here started.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
Yeah, you called the right people
Yeah.
because Todd has 2,
Yep.
Ben has 1,
yeah,
the Rush Stars have 1.
yep.
Which actually happened a little after your
Yep.
guys' relationship. But yeah,
And Foys have
Foys have 2,
2.
and then 2 from Korea.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
It was clearly a God moment where He put the 2 of us together, and so to be sitting here now doing this
Well,
with
maybe
you
you
guys is
should
crazy.
adopt one.
That's a good.
Jackie's gonna kill me.
This is a great
Why
segue.
one?
This is a great
Right?
segue.
Why 1?
A great segue. That's actually how we ended up in Russia. We had started the process to adopt. We had found out about a child that we were interested in. We had one at the time, and so we were thinking we wanted an older child, not a younger child, which is extremely difficult to do. And through those trips where we went to try to adopt and not being able to adopt a child, God opened the door and laid on our hearts that we weren't supposed to adopt a child. We were supposed to go there and help those kids. And so that really kicked off kind of that part of our life. And so it's funny. Failure, as we see failure and understand it, sometimes isn't failure. It's God's door to open us up to get us where he wants us to go down the road.
So how long were you in Russia as a missionary?
Yep. So I was in Ukraine for 2 years doing language school, and then we were in Russia for 8. So we spent 5 in Western Russia and then 5 in the Ural Mountain area of Russia. So 5 and 3 in the Ural Mountain area. So yeah, it was good. Our first 5 years we worked with orphans and kids coming out of the orphanage system, and the last 3 years we worked among unreached people group. And we have since seen 2 churches planted among that group.
That's crazy.
So praise God, right? But if he had said way back when, kind of like, you're talking about this mentor, like if God had brought somebody in and said, okay, you're going to work with these people, I'd have been like, no, I'm not. And so there was a process that God took us through, and kids was the avenue and the door that God used to get us to think about that and to be open to other things.
Cool. Well, let's ping pong back
Sure.
just a little bit of ways. We were talking about just kind of before we all got to Northridge. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so my dad was a pastor, and I'm born in Dallas, Texas. Go Cowboys.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I lived there for like less than 18 months, and anybody goes, "Where are you from?" I'm like, Texas. But I
Sounds like a Texan thing.
yeah, of course. If Texas ever secedes the union, I'm grabbing my birth certificate and driving south. I hope they don't close I-35 before I get there. But I grew up most of my life in Minnesota. My dad was a pastor, so we moved all over the
Were you
place.
part of that Herschel Walker trade?
I should have been. Yeah. Yeah, you guys got hosed on
You're the
every.
player to be named later?
Yeah, you guys got hosed on every part of that deal. I'm not gonna lie. As a Cowboys fan, I'm really appreciative that you guys were stupid. But so yeah, Forest Lake. I graduated from Forest Lake High School, just up the road.
Yeah.
Dad was a pastor there for a number of years. Spent some time on the Iron Range. That's where my wife is from Hibbing, and then moved to Buffalo and started a real job, I guess, if that's what you call it.
So how did you and Jackie meet?
So
I don't know any of this stuff.
you don't know any of this?
No,
This is
I don't.
so Jackie's
should all
family
be.
was attending the church that my dad went to pastor in Hibbing. There's 5 years between us. So when I met Jackie, she was 12. And I was 17. So there wasn't a whole lot of interest or attraction there at that moment. But just throughout the years of going back and being home for summers and different things, different family dynamics, we started hanging out with the kids in the youth group, and she was part of that. And God just kind of started knitting us together. And so she graduated high school in June, and we got married in August.
Wow, that's quick.
So So she was 18 when we got married, and turned 19 a few months later, and we moved down here to the city. She went to Crown College. I graduated from Northwestern.
Northwestern guy.
Yeah. And I also didn't get a ministry degree. I got a degree in psychology. So I have a Bible minor.
How does that make you feel?
Like I should have a couch. I need a couch, nice pillow, or a really hot lamp that I can hang over somebody's head and be like, tell me your secrets.
I usually refer to Crown as Clown College.
We
'cause it
do
sounds
too.
So much like Clown College.
Yeah. Yeah, she went to Crown, and we lived in married housing.
I didn't know Jackie was homeschooled.
Yeah, no, she wasn't.
Crown College is mostly homeschooled.
Most homeschool people, yeah. Actually, Crown was really good for us in a lot of ways.
Jordan did her teaching credentials there when
There?
we moved to Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like making fun.
It's
You got a lot of.
No, I have
There-
a lot of friends that went there too. It's good. That's all good.
and the people that go there make a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but
they-
it's a really
yeah,
good school, and
it is.
and for us being newly married, and I was a chaplain for the married housing group that they had up there, and it was a really good time for us to have good community around, and they spent a lot of time being intentional about the married housing community that they built and the way that they encouraged us to sort of be in small groups and integrate and things like that. So for us, it was a really good time. And so yeah, and then jobs you were talking about. My first job, I worked for my dad, mowing lawn at the church. $75 every time I mowed.
Wow.
And
That seems like a lot.
well, I was a highway robber. What do you want?
Was it a big
Oh,
lot?
it was
Okay.
huge. Yeah, it was.
Do you have a rider?
Yeah.
In Texas when you were 18 months old?
No. Yeah. No. They had a.
Everything's bigger in
At least
Texas.
That's
2 years
right.
old.
Yeah.
2 years
They
old.
had a big lawn, and I remember coming in one day complaining about, it's hot and and the mower's not working, and it wasn't my mower, it was the church's mower. They're supposed to fix it, whatever, blah blah, blah. And I said to my dad, I said, if you weren't my dad, I wouldn't work for you. And he looks at me and goes, well, that's good, because if you weren't my kid, I'd have fired you by now. So we had an agreement that maybe, you learn things from jobs.
Yeah.
Maybe working for family
Yeah.
isn't always the best
That's hard.
the best idea. And then I had a great job. I worked at Petco for a while. And that was great because everybody's happy. They're coming in to get their pets
Yeah.
or, buy a new fish, get a new goldfish, the third one this week because the kids overfed it. And then I went from that to the auto insurance job, which was horrible. So, I've had a few fun things in there. And then you're talking about cooking. I worked in restaurants for 10 years through high school and college, and I'm a food snob. You were talking about knowing what's in Taco Bell and eating it. Yeah, I would not eat Taco Bell.
Yeah, we should.
There's
We should go now.
no. I have some standards in life, and that falls a little below it.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
You're a meat eater, aren't you?
I am. I'm a big meat guy. We were in Branson. We had alligator tail.
Oh.
We had frog legs.
Alligator tail. Does it kind of taste like turtle? A little bit, slightly on the fishy side.
No, actually, the frog
Really?
legs are a little more on the fishy side. The alligator really is a lot more like a drier chicken.
Okay.
And the frog legs I really enjoyed them. They were fun. But you get a little more of that aquatic-y kind of taste to them.
Have you ever had turtle?
I have.
Yeah.
I've actually had a few kinds of turtle. So turtle soup and primarily snapping turtle, and so yeah. So there's some fun little tidbits about me. I'm a food snob.
Minnesotans eat anything.
They will
That's yeah.
stick it in a hot dish and potato tots on top.
Right.
Well, then
That's
you mix
good.
that in with the Texan.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Right.
if it's meat, Texans will eat it.
Ate the gator tail and made boots out of the
Yep.
skin. Right.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So when you were over in Russia, you were with Send.
yeah.
And-
Go ahead.
Now you're still with Send. You just transitioned from being international missions to now you're doing some local work
Right.
downtown. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing downtown?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been with Sen 15 years. It's hard to believe. And our work here is really focused on the immigrant communities and trying to build relationships with them and trying to have spiritual conversations with them and doing it in a way that isn't combative and isn't offensive or antagonistic. And I think that's one of the things that we really want people to understand is the ministry field, the mission field is not overseas, not just overseas anymore. It's here. It's in our backyard. We have lots of diaspora groups that have come. We've had lots of communities of different people from different parts of the world, different religious backgrounds, come into our backyards. And we have a choice now. We have a choice. Are we going to find ways to learn about them, educate ourselves, build relationships, love them the way that Jesus would have loved them if they were in his backyard? Or are we going to still treat that like, well, that's downtown. It's dangerous. We don't go down there. And that's where people not like us live. And so I think there's a real challenge in it because these people didn't just show up yesterday. They've been here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in some cases, depending on the group you're talking about. One of the groups that we work with fairly often has been here, several decades. And I think the challenge is that there's a lot of antagonism that happened over the years between the church and these groups. And they saw each other as dangerous, and they saw each other as trying to be combative. And so there just wasn't any real genuine interaction. There wasn't any relationship built. And that's really what we're trying to do now is go down and spend the time to build a relationship, enjoy their culture, get to know them.
Where do you think that antagonism comes from? Do you think it comes primarily from the difference of ideology and religions, or do you think it's more a racial thing? Where do you think that?
Great question. I think 9/11 didn't help.
Okay.
I think 9/11 made us fearful of a lot of other religions and cultures. So that's one thing. The other thing is I think that we have relatively short memories collectively, and so
But you'll never forget with 9/11.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right?
Sorry.
But collectively, we have a short memory that a lot of us, if we think about our backgrounds, Scandinavian, German, whatever, it's not like it's 100 generations back that they came to this country. This country isn't that old. And so we were the new people showing up on the block. And so I think stereotypes play a lot into that. But I think even more, it's just ignorance. We just don't take the time to get to know people. And that's true of the people that live across the street or the people that live from a different culture and a different language. And so those barriers have just piled up over the years, Andy. And so now somebody has to be intentional about breaking that down. Somebody has to be intentional about going and having that conversation, saying, hey, I'm actually interested in you. I'd like to know about your culture and about your language. And it helps that I've lived overseas. I've been in 18 countries around the world. And so when they say, well, why? Well, I've been in 18 countries. I like different cultures. I like different food. I like different ways of understanding things. And so my experience has been people are basically the same around the world. If you really stop and talk to them, they're the same. They want to be healthy. They want their kids to have a better education in life than they did. They want to have a job that pays enough that they can put a roof over their heads and maybe have a little money left over to buy a car or go on a vacation. They want to be left alone to believe and practice their own faiths and religions without persecution from the government or outside parties. And generally, people want to live in peace with the people around them. And that's been my experience. Whether I've been in Egypt, I've been in Thailand, I've been in Nepal. All the conversations I've had with people in all those places, those are the themes that always come up when I say, well, if you had to really choose, what is it that you would really want for your kids, for your family, for your life? And those are the things that come up for everybody.
Yeah, you've done a decent amount of international travel, and I have too, and that's definitely been my experience. I mean, I don't speak all these languages.
Sure.
It sounds like you do.
How
many different languages can you just conversationally speak?
Conversationally, I can speak English and Russian and some German, although I haven't used German in a long time. And I'm dabbling a little bit. Yeah, I dabbled a little in Bashkir, which is a Turkish-based language. I did a year of study there, so not conversational, but I could say a few things. And now, because we're going down into the communities, we're picking up, Somali. We're picking up some different languages. One of the guys said last week they got to practice their Spanish down in the Twin Cities. So,
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
How can people here at Northridge, is there a doorway for them to participate, to be involved with what you're doing, or is it just kind of something that I know we have a couple people here that go with you regularly, but is there anything that Northridgers can kind of get behind or do?
Yeah.
How can they help? Any of that, whether it's just simply praying or going with you sometime. What do you got?
Great question. That's the beauty of being a hometown ministry opportunity like this, right? You guys are talking about, you've got the youth and they need people to help, and you got the kids, they need people to help, and you've got this going on. There's an opportunity for everybody here. Whether you're somebody who wants to pray and come down, we've got several neighborhoods that we haven't even touched yet that need people to just walk house by house, building by building, person by person, and pray. You don't have to be an outgoing person. You don't need to be somebody who's super experienced at sharing your faith, right? If you can walk and have a conversation with God, we have something for you to do. If you are somebody who's good at building relationships, we'd love to have you come down and start working in some of these neighborhoods that we don't. There's only 4 of us really from the Send side and from the Northridge side right now that go regularly. That's not enough.
That's the prayer walk Tuesday thing that you guys are going on. If you go to our church calendar right now, you'll see on Tuesdays a prayer walk event on the calendar.
Yeah.
And that's what Matt's talking about. And you can register and sign up for that to be part of that.
Yep. So the prayer walk's another good one. The other thing is if you want to become somebody who goes to a community regularly and starts hanging out and building relationships, we can train you how to do that. We can give you the tools that you need. And so maybe you say, hey, I can't go, Thursdays like we do. Thursday afternoons, usually I'm down there right now hanging out with the community. But I can go on a Saturday, or I can go on a Tuesday night or a Monday night. Great. We can help train you how to do the things you would need to do, and it's not difficult. You don't need a Bible degree. You don't need 20 years of ministry experience. You just need to love people and be willing to build a relationship with somebody who, quite frankly, doesn't look like you and doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, I don't know if 20 years of ministry experience is even a prerequisite at all.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm saying. Is like
Probably more harmful.
we gotta unteach you first, then, right? Like I gotta deprogram the brain and then reprogram it the right way. And actually, that's the beauty of it. You know what we're seeing, really, Andy, and this is exciting. I'd love to see more adults get involved in this. I'd love to see more people from the church get involved. The kids are really getting around this idea. We've got some young ladies from the church who we're working on a schedule to try to get them to start going down once a week and prayer walking through a community. A couple of young ladies went with us a couple times, and they went and sat in the henna shops because the guys can't go in there. Only ladies are allowed. And so they went in there with our people and hung out and got henna tattoos. Yeah. And their parents, I think, praise God, were...
Describe a henna tattoo for people that might not know before they send their
kids down there to get one, their daughters.
It's not a permanent.
It's not a permanent tattoo.
It's like Sharpie.
Yeah. It's an ink tattoo that they do, and there's lots of little flower patterns and different things. And it's very popular in African and in Asian cultures. We see it a fair amount.
It's really cool too.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
When I was in India, I took a group of high school kids down there, and we were hanging out at the base, and all these Indian girls ran up to me, and they were giggling, and they're like, "We want to give you a henna tattoo," and I'm like, "Well, whatever." And so they gave me one, and then they were all laughing, and so I asked, our people, why are they laughing? Well, because it's for girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned that today. I did not know that.
You didn't know it was just for
now that I
females?
think about it, I've never seen a guy with henna tattoo, but I didn't know it was like
I
that
think
strict.
there might be a picture somewhere in the universe of me with a henna tattoo.
Andy Schultz breaking barriers.
I was just say I might pay a couple bucks to have that picture available. But yeah, so the henna tattoos, that's the other thing though, is there's a lot of places that I can't go. Yeah. The two guys that go with me, we can't go. We can't go into those places. We can't have those conversations. So it takes everybody. It takes moms with young kids going to parks and hanging out and playing with, their kids playing with the immigrant community kids. It takes business people being willing to maybe talk to a business owner and have a conversation. One of the guys I met, we hit it off because he was having a problem with his books at his cafe. And I said, hey, I kind of know a little bit about this system and these books. Can I help? And he said, yeah, sure. And we sat down for 20 minutes, half hour. We kind of narrowed it down to one of a couple options, and he sorted it out. And now we're friends. And I go into his shop and we hang out all the time and we talk all the time. And when I see him, it's a big hug. And so it's all about relationship and building that relationship with people.
So what would you say to somebody who would maybe be interested but is uncertain of the safety factor? Is that naive to be overly concerned about safety? Or because even 2 days ago I saw this article of a pizza delivery guy just got busted up. His car is destroyed. He got broken jaw, fractured elbow or whatever it was for delivering pizzas around down there. And then things happening in the middle of broad daylight, not just at night. And so how do you go past? How do you speak past all that stuff?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, serving Jesus isn't always going to be the safest thing in the world.
Yeah. First off, of course. You're right. Serving Jesus is not the safest thing in the world. We take chances every day. We drive cars. We get on planes. We do things. The other part that I would say, though, is this. We worked really hard at building relationships with the places we go and the people we see. We're not randomly walking around. we have certain reasons for going places and doing things. Like today, I have a couple of our folks scoping out a couple new neighborhoods that we think we want to go prayer walk through. So before we send you guys down there, we go ourselves and we walk through, and we go through at different times of the day to see who's around and what's going on, and we scope things out, and who's there, what's happening, what kind of atmosphere is it. But the other thing is this: I think at the end of the day, one of the things I've found is that there is great comfort for me, at least, even as a parent, to understand that the safest place for me is to be in God's will, and that I'm not going to die. The Bible tells me I'm not going to die one day sooner or one day later than God ordains it. I can't add a day to my life, nor can I subtract a day from my life short of what God's already ordained. So if that's the moment that it's going to happen regardless of where I am. And if that's not the moment it's going to happen, it doesn't matter what's going on around me. God's going to protect me from that. And so obviously we be smart. Obviously we're careful about where we go and the times of day and things like that. We don't send young ladies walking around Lake Street at midnight, doing prayer walks. That's not what we're doing. And we don't send them out by themselves. We always send them with somebody who's been around. So, whether that's one of the guys that's walking with me regularly, whether it's me, whether it's one of the ladies on my team, we provide those kind of extra measures to make sure that it's safe for the people who are going. But the biggest thing is this: the reason that people are afraid most of the time is because of ignorance. Sure. People that live in the suburbs, I always find this funny. We talk about 494, 694, and we're like, well, that's the city. We don't go to the city. And I'm like, there's millions of people down there that need Jesus. Mm-hmm. Why don't we go down there? And they're like, well, there's churches down there. They'll take care of it. No. That's the beauty of why we need people like me, people who are missionaries, who have cross-cultural experience, because when you start building relationships with people from other cultures, number one, you got to laugh at yourself a lot. I make a lot of stupid mistakes. I say stuff wrong all the time. Secondly, there's a certain amount of just being genuine and being open and being real with somebody and saying, you know what, I really want to get to know you. I really want to get to know who you are and what you're about and what you're like. And so there's a real vulnerability that happens there. And I think that feeds that fear of, am I safe? Is this safe? It's safe. I never feel safer than I am when I'm out walking around the streets of Minneapolis.
Well, and I think a lot of people who are going down there and they feel unsafe there's this sense of feeling like you're all by yourself.
Yep.
Whereas as you continue to go down there and build relationships with people, you're in now more of a community of familiarity, the people that you know. If there does something happen, there's probably a safe place that you could go to escape that danger.
For sure.
Or if there's something happens, there might be, a few people within earshot that might even come and help.
Yep.
Especially as you become more familiar in a particular communities or whatever. You have kind of the safety of the community. That'd be cool. I just don't like rush hour traffic. That's why. Just kidding.
That's usually why we go in the middle of the day. We get down there about noon, and we go have
that's probably smart.
Have lunch, and then we start walking around and talking to people. By the way, that's the other good part.
Tell me about lunch.
So let's talk about lunch. One of the things that people fail to realize is that food is really central to culture.
Yeah.
Food identifies and talks and tells a lot about people and who they are and what their story is and where they're from and those kind of things. And people are really proud of their culture. People are really proud of who they are and where they've come from and what background. And you see that because when you invite guests over, you don't slap a Oscar Mayer hot dog in front of them, right? You cook something
kosher.
Maybe kosher.
Nathan's hot dog.
Yeah, Nathan's hot dog. You probably get something out, an old family recipe, or you get something from the back from whatever, and they're the same way. And so, a lot of what we do is we spend time eating food and drinking their drinks and hanging out and spending time, and that's one of the reasons I like the Luke 10 passage. Right, it talks about wherever you go.
Don't bring anything with you.
Don't bring anything with you.
Yep.
And whatever they put before you,
eat
it and drink it.
Yeah.
And it says it twice.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a ministry opportunity I can get behind, right?
Yeah.
It may be some weird stuff. I might end up eating alligator or frog legs.
That's just Branson.
That's another culture.
Well, what's funny is like huge generalization, but most other cultures are very hospitable, and they start feeding you. Like if you come in their home, they're going to feed you,
Yep.
or in their restaurant, or into their store, or whatever.
Absolutely.
I think Americans are less and less hospitable.
Yeah.
As we
Well, and it's to me, it's a generosity.
right.
Absolutely.
Because being in these poor podunk towns and like way outskirts in India,
Yep.
and you come up to their house and they feed you everything that they have in their house, and they don't have
Yeah.
anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
And they give you the best.
Yep.
You
They
know?
killed the last chicken that was running around the yard
Yeah,
this
that
morning.
they save because they're probably most likely vegetarians.
Yep.
But they do eat chicken every once in a while.
Yep.
And they'll kill the chicken that was meant for some special occasion.
Yeah.
It's generous. They're just that generous spirit
And I think that's the
that doesn't exist here in the United States.
and that goes
as
back.
much.
That's the thing, guys. You're right. It's that willingness to be generous, to share, and that hospitality. There was a point where we started feeling bad because we're going into these same shops trying to build relationships, and they're not letting us pay for anything. And we're like, guys, we're here regular, like we're regulars now. You got to let us
That would drive me nuts.
pay
I want to
pay
for
for
everything.
it. And they especially the first couple times we go places, they won't. And they're like, oh, try this, try that, and they'll tell you what it is, and they'll tell you why it's good for you and why you should try
And
it.
it's not like they're rolling in the dough down there.
No,
They're
I mean,
some of them. I wonder how many of those places, especially stores that didn't make it through the pandemic.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I think, one of the things too is we tell everybody you need to learn the missionary prayer. God, I'll be answering for the chewing and swallowing. You are responsible for keeping it where I put it. And there are things, I've traveled.
heard that before.
I've traveled all over the world. There are things that we get put in front of us that we go,
Yeah.
okay, Lord, that's going to take some work. I'm going to have to, don't kill me out there. I don't want any negative comments. But, we've traveled around the world. We've eaten, where we lived, horse was a primary meat source. So we've had horse, and I've had fermented horse's milk, and I've had, we've had octopus, and we've had shark in Thailand, and we've had,
none as shocking as horse.
yeah. I mean, I ate camel. I made camel here about a year ago
had
for the
camel,
first
yeah.
time.
It's probably like similar to horse.
It's I mean, I think the thing is you just got to get past yourself.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. It's the same reason why we don't have relationships. I mean, I know people who I'm like, I know every neighbor on my block, and I know their kids, and I know what grades they're in, and they come and hang out at my house, and we go over there and hang out. And we did a big block party last year, kind of at the end of summer. We had 75 people show up, and people are like, "Oh, I don't even know the person who lives next door to me." And I'm like, "You've been there 10 years. You've been there 15 years." So part of it is just as Christians in general, we need to get better at building relationship. We need to get better about engaging and building a relationship with the world that isn't like us, so that they have an opportunity to hear and see Jesus. And they don't get that if we don't do that.
The last thing I want to just talk about is Kairos.
Yeah.
Tell us about Kairos.
Kairos is a course. It can take a lot of different forms. The one that we're going to have here is going to be a 1-week intensive course. But Kairos is set up to be a Christian worldview and a missional movement class. And what that means is the first 3 sections we talk about the Bible foundation for God's mission from Genesis to Revelation. And we're going to help people understand those threads that are going through the whole Bible of what God is trying to do. The 4th chapter, we look at history. And we're going to talk about the history of missions and the history of the movement of the gospel around the world. And then 5 through 8, we talk about cultural challenges, and we talk about cross-cultural interaction and what happens when the gospel meets barriers in these different cultures, and why does that happen? And then the last chapter, we focus on integration. What are you going to do about it? And so Kairos is really a course that helps to change not only a worldview of a person, but to help to get them to take that next step of being active and doing something. So whether you're a prayer, you're a goer, you're a sender, you're a receiver, you're a greeter, whatever that looks like for you, it's going to help you think about taking that next step. It's also going to give you a lot of language if you're somebody who's excited about missions, you're curious about other cultures and what's happening and how's the gospel spreading, it's going to give you some language and vocabulary to talk about those things in your own life and how that's going to play out later. Obviously, we want to keep mentoring you and developing.
Who would you say is like a prime candidate target for somebody to go
Yeah.
to Kairos?
Anybody who's in the church is a prime candidate, and I'll tell you why. I love what Kairos has built in. There's a scale that they call of missional mobilization. And what it means is when somebody first comes to Christ, they're probably like at a -5 or 6. They're just worried about their own salvation. They're worried about this own new faith that's new that they're learning, right? And a -5 is, okay, well, there's other people in the building, and what does that look like, right? As they grow and mature, hopefully they're taking steps forward to where they start to understand that they have a role to play in Great Commission, and it isn't sitting in this building on Sunday mornings and doing nothing else the rest of the week. That's not what it is. And so Kairos really is a course that if you're at -6, we'll get you to -5. But if you're at a net 0, you're like, okay, yep, something needs to be done, but you don't know what. It moves you to that next level of number, a +1. Okay, I can start praying for unreached people. We talked about this. 7,600 unreached people groups around the world. Kairos talks about that. How do we pray for them? Who are they? Where are they? We talk about that some. And getting those kinds of things into people's minds and hearts so that the Holy Spirit can work through that.
So age-wise can be for anybody, for teenagers up to adults, right?
Yep. I mean, we've got, for those of you who know my daughter Anya, which is probably everybody, because she hasn't met a friend that she didn't know. Everybody is a friend. She's 16. My 19-year-old's taking it. There's several other young ladies from the youth group taking it. And then there's, my dad who's 70, who is a pastor for 40 years. He's taking it for the first time. And so there's no too old. And then, there's some reading. So obviously if you can't read or you're, somebody who doesn't read well, your 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, probably not for you. But really, if you're in that, 8th, 9th, 10th on up, absolutely, you can sign up and take that class.
And you're doing a session this August.
Yeah. So August 9th through the 13th, we'll have the class here. It's a Monday through Friday afternoon. The cost is $125.
Okay.
That's because we have to pay for the books. We got to pay to fly a few facilitators in, people who are going to help with the training of the class. And then we're going to provide lunch every day for people so they don't have to run out and try to figure out what to do for that lunch hour.
You're not killing a horse, are you?
No, there'll be no horse killing.
Taco Bell?
So
There will be no Taco Bell either.
So it sounds like it's a few hour. How long each day is it?
Yeah, so the class is set to run from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, so it's a full day. So if you work, you need to take the week off. But I will tell you this. I got exposed to this in Russia, this class. And we saw people in the church start to be passionate about praying for unreached people that were in their backyards. And then we saw people who were already praying starting to get involved in engaging those neighbors, inviting them over for dinner, having conversations, even starting Bible studies with them. And the other thing we saw is that the pastors who took it started preaching on a regular basis with a very Great Commission-minded focus on all their sermons. And so the whole church got enveloped and got energized around this idea of we're disciples called to make disciples. At the end of the day, that is the prime directive. That's the prime command that we have. And so Kairos, what I always tell people is, Kairos takes all those blocks that are kind of laying around the yard that you would need to build a bonfire and puts them all in order and puts them in a place where now you can light that fire and you can control that fire. You can cook on it. You can do the things that fire is good for. Whereas right now, you may have all those blocks in your life, but they're just kind of spread out around the yard. So those things are going to happen 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then Friday afternoon and Saturday, if you'd like to become a trainer, we're going to offer that as well for people who complete the course. If they would like to then get trained to actually facilitate and teach the course, we're going to offer that as well, Friday night and Saturday. But if you don't take the class, you can't be a facilitator. You got to take the class first.
Cool. Well, what we're going to do, folks, here right now, we're going to pull the curtain back a little bit so you can see kind of behind the scenes. Is we're going to try to shoot a promo that will be edited and all this kind of stuff for you here right now. So what we had talked about, this is to help save time, but also to do something that, no, you stay in this.
I
Great.
am in this grade.
You're fine.
Just don't yawn during the.
Dude,
Yeah, please don't.
no, I'm having allergies are terrible. I can't
I
breathe
know.
through my
You
nose
keep-
right now. I know, because I'm trying to like, I can't help it.
No, it's
I keep
okay.
yawning. Like
So here's what
someone
we're
told
gonna-
me when you're yawning, your brain is trying to get oxygen. I don't know how true that is, but it sounds
It seems
true.
right.
Because I'm not tired, but I can't breathe through my nose right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to breathe through my mouth talking and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So then just yawn. The brain's like, I need air. Yeah.
So we had talked about doing like a minute-long promo or such, and getting what Kairos is, who it might be for,
Yep.
when it is,
Yep.
how much it costs, and how do you sign up.
Yep.
And so maybe what I'll do is I'll just it'll sort of be like that infomercial where the host guy says, tell us about MaxiBond,
Yeah.
whatever-
OxyClean.
whatever it's called.
Maxi
What's that one like
No.
glue stuff that he made a boat out of? Have you seen
Oh,
that? Anybody watch
yeah.
late night
Oxy
TV?
Seal?
Something.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like in a spray can. Like,
Well, it's in several different things.
Yeah,
It's in a.
yeah. I heard it's actually pretty Flex Steel or
Flex
Flex.
Steel?
No, Flex.
Something like that, though.
All
yeah.
I saw is the dude was driving a boat, had an
Yeah.
outboard motor on it.
And it was clear.
and
You
it was
could-
all
yeah.
made out of this.
He used
Yeah.
like a screen door or something on the
It's
bottom,
crazy.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I heard it's actually legit. Like
Like
people
it works?
actually like people usually or keep that stuff in their toolbox.
well, it says you can get it at Home Depot. So
yeah.
I'm
Well,
assuming
then it
if,
must.
if you can get it at Home Depot, it's legit. Anyway, so here's
We're
what
making
we'll
somebody
do.
a lot of money
Yeah.
today, and it's
Here's
not
what I'll
us.
do
No,
is
it's
I'll
not
just
us.
kind of prod you with the talking points.
Yep.
And then you just give a pretty quick. I want to say quick, just because we don't want to go long.
Yep.
A quick overview of
Yeah.
of the talking point that I give you. So again, it's what's Kairos?
Yep.
Who's it for?
Yep.
When is it?
Mm-hmm.
Combined with how much is it, and then where do they go to sign up for it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Sounds good.
It's kind of weird. All right. Little silence because of editing purposes. A little drink. Hey, everybody. Andy here, and I'm here with Matt Hutchcraft, and he's here to talk to us about Kairos. Tell us about Kairos, Matt.
Kairos is really a worldview transformation course to help people join the world Christian movement. And that means you getting involved in the Great Commission.
Awesome. We're going to have Kairos here in August. What are the dates for Kairos here at Northridge?
We're going to have it from August 9th to August 13th from 9 in the morning till 5 at night.
Awesome. Who is this for?
It's really for anybody that has a passion for learning about the Great Commission, about gospel spread around the world, and what we can do here locally to see that happen among the unreached people we have.
Awesome. Well, anything awesome is never for free. Is there a cost to it?
There is a cost. It's $125 for the week. It covers your materials, food, some travel expenses, things like that.
Awesome. And if cost is an issue, come talk to us. We'll we'll see about a scholarship. Where do you go for more information? How do you sign up for this thing?
So actually, we're going to put a sign up on the NRF website that you can go to and click, or you can come see me on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning, and we'll get the information. There'll also be flyers and posters around the building with the website and the QR codes for you to log on to and get registered.
Awesome. Kairos coming here in August. There you go. That's how you do a commercial.
That was
Me just
easy.
sitting here for no reason.
Yeah, that's all right. You're just
You're-
eye candy.
I was going to say, you're the Vanna White to
You're
his
eye
Pat
candy.
Sajak.
We're still rolling.
That's
Greg.
what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
we're still rolling. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Bunk that out of there.
What's that?
No, you know what I was thinking is when you're talking. So, like, if anyone's thinking like $125, man, like you said, I mean, if that's a problem, talk to us. But
yeah.
what I have found in anything where like value or anything worth doing, worthwhile, you need skin in the game. Like,
Yep.
And I know that money goes to something like materials. It's not like just like a arbitrary number and
Right.
hey, give us money. But Yeah. If you signed up for a week-long class, 9 to 5, and it was all free, you probably would not take it as seriously. And
Yep.
you're
It's probably
probably
not worth
really
much.
motivated to like, Wednesday morning, maybe I'll skip half a day. Or, So part of it is like motivation, I think, too.
For sure.
But aside from that, what I've seen in my years of ministry are people, and where I really see this are things like mission trips or stepping out, like what you're talking about with doing the prayer walks is when, we hear Christ followers who've been following Jesus for a while say things like, my faith feels dry, or God feels distant, or I just feel like I'm not growing or anything. Man, growth happens in those moments when you take that just chance, that step of faith, that step out and do something uncomfortable. And I have seen, because like what you're talking about with Kairos, how you go like from a negative number to a net zero to, and then making those jumps. I've seen people make those jumps in like mission trips, right?
Yep.
And it's usually the people that think, oh, I'm the mature Christian, we're going to go help these people. And do whatever we're going to do. But it's like somewhere halfway through that trip, all of a sudden it's like something happens, and it's just like this shot in the arm to their faith. God does something to them, and so I just if there are people out there that you've followed Jesus for a long time, and you feel like, man, I just want to recapture that, those early days of first like getting excited about my faith.
Yep.
You just got to step in to something that might sound uncomfortable, and you grow in those moments.
And I think that's absolutely right, Greg. One of the things too I would say about that is I've been a Christian a long time. I'm going to be 45 this year. I accepted Christ when I was 5. I got baptized at 12. A lot of times people think that's for somebody that's super spiritual.
Yeah.
Missions is for somebody who walks on water and has a cape and flies through the air, right? Going downtown, that's for some really brave people. Praying for the lost is for somebody who spends 5 hours on their knees every day, right? Nobody does that.
Yeah.
I'm nobody special, guys. I'm not. I'm just a guy trying to love Jesus and tell other people about him. And when you get it in your minds that praying 5 minutes a day, 5 times a day for Muslims is going to energize your faith, it's true. When you realize that coming to a class like this, like the Kairos course, is going to energize your faith, it's true. This is not for super spiritual, going to Bible school kind of people. It's really meant for the everyday Christian who just needs a shot in the arm and wants to better understand what's God doing, what has he done, what's he doing now, and where's he going in the future, and how can I be an active part? And the key word there is active.
Yeah.
How can I be an active part of accomplishing and advancing that goal? And when Christians get behind that, that's when we see movement. That's when we see revival. That's when we see people getting excited, and we see them getting passionate about loving their neighbors, loving each other, loving God, making a difference, doing the things you guys talk about here at Northridge. And so I would encourage anybody, if you're even on the fence, give it a go. And I guarantee you it'll be money well spent and time well invested.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're waffling or just want to know more, if you're here on the weekend and you see Matt, he'd love probably to talk about it even more in person with you. Anything else, Greg?
Maybe, probably, I don't know.
Maybe, probably. Hey, man, thanks for coming and hanging out with
Thanks,
us.
guys, for having me.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
It's awesome.
you bet.
That's it for Greg and I here at Northridge, just a little live podcast. If you have out there, if you have a story or you have something you really want to talk about or share, we'd love to do that with you here. Give me a shout. You can email me at andys@nrf.life or Greg T at nrf.life. That's 3 G's in that name.
It's 2 at the end.
Yeah, 2 at the end.
GREGGT.
We call him 3G. Anyway, have a great rest of the week. We'll hopefully see you on this weekend, and peace out.